My dear brothers and sisters, because of the internet, we don't have the luxury to be in our beautiful bubble anymore. Because of the internet, I am strongly against ignoring the bigger problems out there and just teaching these half Sunday school myths. I have talked to too many people who have left the faith of our own children, and they say to me, we were taught lies, we were taught truths, it's not correct what we were taught.
My journey with leaving Islam started from a really young age. We studied 4 to 5 religious subjects in school, and it was all mandatory. And it wasn't a matter of leaving or questioning. The journey started with asking myself questions and trying to find justification of a lot of the scripts in Quran, a lot of the hadith by the Prophet Muhammad. So from the beginning, it felt like it's a very hateful towards women, because from the beginning, if you're born, there is something that called Taqiyya, which is what they sacrifice for the newborn as thanking God. So if you're like a man, if you're a male born, you get like 2 lambs, but if the newborn is female, only 1 lamb to be sacrificed. And there were a lot of script about like how it's the religion, how a woman is half trained only, and your testimony in court is equal to 1 man testimony is equal to 2 women testimony, because they said in the script that a woman can't forget, so the other one can remind her. And then if you are inheriting money, you inherit half of it. You don't inherit the whole thing. And a lot of women in the Middle East, they're actually working, and they are the main, at least in my country, they are the main provider for the living. In my country, at least, most of the women are the main financial provider for their families. So it didn't make any sense why at the end, when my father or husband dies, I will only inherit half of it, half of the money and like everything. So I started like trying to find justification. There is a lot of new Muslim scholars who started making justification for why the Prophet married like a 9-year-old girl. So they started doing calculation and trying to tell, well, she was 18, she wasn't that young. But the hadith is very clear that he married her in a young age, and he had sex with her when she was 9. So in the hadith, he married her when she was 6 years old, and he had sex with her. And he waited till she had her period, allegedly. So when she was 9, he had sex with her. And she was the daughter of his friends. So this was really disgusting. And all the new scholars who tried to justify it and go around it with many theories didn't make any sense. But like at time, because it's very clear, the script is very clear in the hadith. So when I was young, like whenever like it was the praying time, because according to hadith, you should beat your children if they're 7 years and above and didn't pray. You tell them to pray from a young age till they reach 7. So when they reach 7 and they don't, you should beat them. So my mother started doing that because she found out that I was lying, and I was just putting the praying mat and everything around it and pretending that I just prayed. So she was watching me, and she found out that I wasn't. So I got a lot of beating at 8 years old. I continued to pray and fast, and I've been to Hajj 4 times and 4 years in a row working there, and it wasn't spiritual for me and didn't feel Allah or whatever. So in 2016, because I just stopped praying and fasting, because I felt like I'm doing it without any purpose, and it didn't make me feel good. And before that, I had my questions, but I kept brushing everything away. There is a lot of script also in Quran that doesn't make any sense, and some surahs start with Alif Lam Mim, and that's a bunch of letters. Doesn't make. So whenever we were studying it, our teacher used to tell us this is only God, only Allah knows the meaning of these things. But it's like the Prophet got really tired and he just made a bunch of letters in the beginning or something because he was out of words. When I reached and I sought asylum at the airport, I was held at the airport camp with other people. So other Muslims, they knew that I'm Arabic and I come from Saudi Arabia, so they tried to talk to me and I talked to them, which was fine at the beginning. But then one of them, a Moroccan lady, started talking about other sects in Islam and how it's really a fake. So she told me if she ever knew that someone is from another sect, which is Shia sect, she will stone them. So I asked her, why is that? She said, because they're changing the true Islamic religion. So that was really shocking because someone with that mentality is coming for a free country in Europe to practice their hate and their ignorance and spread it all over. They kept asking me if I had tattoos. One guy told me, I'll give you some advices. Do not ever drink because alcohol will lead you to a lot of mistakes in your life, and I'm only giving you that advice because you're a woman. If you're a man, I wouldn't do that, but you're a woman, you have a lot to lose. So I just shook my head and I couldn't wait really to leave that hellhole with them. Only one of them was really reasonable and had a stand against the bullshit they were saying, but the rest, they were saying it like it's fact, yes, other sects are fake and other sects should be killed. So if a Muslim thinks someone from another sect who's practicing the same religion in a slightly different way should be stoned, what do you think they think about other people from really totally different religion or without any religion? So if a Muslim thinks someone from another sect who's practicing the same religion in a slightly different way should be stoned, what do you think they think about other people from really totally different religion or without any religion? I was being atheist in secret for a long time from 2006, before 2016, but I started saying I'm an atheist on 2016. But I had to fake praying and I had to pretend that I'm fasting because I was trying to avoid punishment or questions. But that was really taking a lot of effort and it was getting really stressful for me. I had also other reasons why I left the country. It was blackmailing, sexual harassment, and I had to leave because it wasn't safe anymore. Also, coming to this camp here was an eye-opening because people, they don't care about all the things they were provided. People take the aids and everything for granted. They don't maintain the place clean. They just wait for the housekeeping. They write Islam everywhere in the camp walls. So it's like a Muslim colony here. They just harass others. I've been asked where am I leaving, but I didn't answer because I was a woman. I was going outside, so two men behind me were shouting in Arabic, where are you going? So it's really very sickening. A lot of them, they've been here for 6 months and they didn't even take any effort to learn the language or at least understand the culture. Everyone here keeps saying are racist and scumbags, but at the same time they're not taking any effort to respect anyone, which really saddened me because I'm being in the same category as others who come with a really fucked up mentality and who actually want to just use the country for the money. In my country, I had to wear a veil in front of my family, but at work I was wearing a headscarf behind their back. My mother knew, but my father didn't know that I was wearing only a headscarf and showing my face, because your face is equal to your genitalia in Saudi Arabia and most of the conservative families, which is really sickening. Leaving the religion, leaving, for, like, to be honest, leaving the Islamic cult was a very hard decision for me because I was born in it and it was around me, and I was in a country that is an Islamic country that is like living by Sharia law. So it was one of the hardest things, one of the hardest decisions in my life, because I had to really make sure that this is the right decision. But of course, like when I saw online, there is a lot of ex-Muslims and Saudi atheists from the same region and the same country, that made me feel like I'm not alone, and my questions were right and were at place, because they taught us in school you cannot question Allah, you cannot question God, and you cannot question the Islam. And whenever you have a question in your heart, you should pray for God to take those questions away, because those questions and those doubts are from Satan and from the demons. So it was like, just practice the religion and keep your mind closed to everything. On September 11, when the terrorist attack happened, my father actually brought a cake and he was celebrating. Everyone in our neighborhood was celebrating in September 11, which is then later on, everyone was really happy.
The V sign for victory being displayed in East Jerusalem today among jubilant Palestinians that the United States had been subject to this. We're seeing people applauding, clapping, smiling.
I initially celebrated the attacks, and I heard on the radio that this happened, and I immediately said, Allahu Akbar.
Bruh. I remember talking to people who were defending it.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes. And they were saying, that these people had voted for the kufr system, so therefore they were guilty. And they quoted a hadith about that the Prophet had been catapulting a city which had innocence in it. And one of them said, but what about the people who are not fighters? And the Prophet replied, they are of them.
Did you hear as much from Muslims when you were a Muslim? And in what countries did you hear that?
Every country that I was in around Muslims, there was a portion of them that celebrated terrorism, even the ones that were moderate and assimilated and didn't wear hijab even. But what really surprised me the most was the Muslims in the UK, in England and Scotland, and in the US, in Chicago, in Texas. It really shocked me, the moderate Muslims that I was around that really supported terrorist activities, or not all of them, but a lot of them, and or has silently supported it. To the non-believers and to the kafir, they wouldn't say anything. Between us, they would say, Allah commanded it, it happened, it's not so bad.
And we were happy that the infidels took what they deserve, and this is from God.
An airplane, a 727 just ran into the building.
So how someone with that mentality, this is what I've been taught at school at 14 years old. This is what everyone in Saudi was taught at school. And a lot of Arabs also, and a lot of terrorists, they came from Saudi Arabia, and they came from Islamic religion. I encourage other Muslims to ask questions and seek the answers by themselves. Do not pray for Allah to take those questions away. Doubts and questions are normal. This means that you're thinking and you're looking for answers. So ask questions, look for answers, and make your decision. But for me, Islam was the worst thing that I had to live through. And finally, I'm almost free. And I couldn't do it any other way. And finally, I'm almost free. And I couldn't do it any other way. And finally I'm almost free, and I couldn't do it any other way.